refugee processing and registration centre that we went to this morning in that small village.
Yeah, in Berek-Sharan.
Berek-Sharan, yes, thank you. Yeah. First of all, it was that van that was being unloaded. It was the way they were unloading it. They were just pulling these boxes out the back and tossing them up to somebody on top of the stairs who was catching the box of aid and then throwing it into the storeroom where it was being caught by someone else. And it was like a production line. It was so smooth and so efficient, and it was quite remarkable because the people who were doing that, they'd just driven all the way from Sardinia.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when did you leave? He said, oh, yesterday. And I think they just got in their car, they drove to the Hungarian-Ukrainian border, unloaded their vehicle in about an hour, had a coffee, and were just driving back.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, have you got to be back for work? He says, no, but we've got more stuff to bring. So they were just going back to refill and bring back.
So they're going back to Sardinia to get more stuff and then bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the aid in that room as well was enormous, huge.
I remember going in there yesterday.
The pile.
It was impressive, you know, what was in there yesterday, but it was bizarre almost. Like, we went to open the door and suddenly we had to squeeze in.
Yeah.
It was a room yesterday you could walk in that was, you know, full with aid, but now there was so much in there, the door just about opened and you had to kind of squeeze in.
Eventually, when we got to the right tennis academy, which was now from where we thought, again, like that was a brand new tennis academy that had been commandeered for Ukrainians that had come across the border, and the facilities were pretty good. I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere, but it was clearly a brand new building. Good to see the family, good to meet the kids, and meet Tanya, and just hear about how they're trying to get those kids across the border.
And we also went to the train station, didn't we, in Zahon?
Yeah, Zahon. Zahon being the city on the Hungarian side, Chop the Ukrainian city on the other side of the border, where there's a special train that moves between the two cities, between the two different rail systems, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think what happens is the wide gauge of the former Soviet Union stops at Chop. Everybody gets off, and then you get on a narrow gauge train which brings you into Zahon, because of the it's a European narrow gauge over here.
But it was kind of a similar. It wasn't a too dissimilar. In fact, it was a very similar scene to the one at Helm Station in Poland, where there's aid, where there's people transiting through the station, people arriving from Ukraine, people making an onward journey. Just less people, I would say. Just less people. Yeah.
And I think there's a slight difference in the aid as well. It seems here more in Hungary. It's charities, NGOs, sort of civil society that's providing more of the aid. At least that's what I've seen. Whereas in Poland it tends to be all that plus perhaps a bit more support from the state. The state's a bit more visible.
Yeah, I think so.
Police and soldiers. As well. Yeah,
I think so. And there's obvious political reasons for that. I mean, it's fascinating to see a country that during the European refugee crisis a few years back closed its southern border with Serbia, erected fences, brought out water cannons and attacked dogs, now being really open and warm towards refugees. It's a really interesting twist.